Well, we're gonna see how this goes. If you're watching this on the replay, this is just a 20-second lead-in, waiting for ads to play and things like that. I think I speak on behalf of my co-host. A little bit nervous, but if you're catching me for the first time, I'm Grant Tommy. I'm straight SixFan. That makes me SixFan of this operation, which means this guy over here.
No, the other way. Is Jason. I'm looking at the other. Anyways, I don't even know where I am because I'm all kerfuffled here tonight. But yeah, my name is Jason, and I'm the car guy of the CarrGuy and SixFan show, and I'm really doing a really bad job of trying to keep a straight face here tonight. I can't even do it. Welcome, guys, to the CarrGuy and SixFan show, powered by the Get Out and Drive podcast. We're having a little bit of fun tonight. We've got our wives here. There might be some stories told. There might be some consumption of cold beverages as the stories come out. So be prepared that the show just may go completely off air at any given time. I'm just saying.
Great intro, guys. You killed that.
So, yeah, this is. I mean, this is uncharted territory for Jason and I, both having a guest next to us on our side of the screen, and we're doing this tonight because yes, eventually this season we will unite in person. We will conquer the COVID, and we will all four be in the room at the same time. But I suppose for our guests, it's time to introduce our lovely wives, and so I will hand it over to my wife first to let her introduce herself, and then hand it over to you guys.
Well, you must know me as Mrs. SixFan, but I'm Leah. Nice to meet you.
And I am Mrs. O'Carr, Sheridan Carr.
That's all you got?
I guess.
Okay, guys. Well, that's it for the show. Have a good night. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. No, I guess not. No. Andy's thrown another $5 in super chat in there. So this is a good time to mention about the super chats, guys. If you throw us some money, it doesn't go unnoticed. We will save that, write your name down, and at the end of the season, we might give you something a little bit back in the form of a thank you for donating to the CarrGuy and SixFan show. So we probably should jump over to the chat.
And I was going to say, Jason, one of the things I've been thinking about since we are going to go visit you, head over the border, I feel like I should probably, because the last probably 3 rewarded members from the super chat on my end have all been Canadian, and I've just got killed on shipping. Yeah. So I might deposit. We might just give out a lower 48 prize and a Canadian prize, and drop off some swag and stuff while we're up there, and maybe we can exchange some stuff and skirt that issue. And so we will be keeping track diligently of the super chats this season. But yes, Jason, why don't you go ahead and see who's in the chat joining us so far.
So Ryan from Everything is Broken Garage was the first one in there, besides Grant, as well as Paul Meyer. Paul is our sound tech, our editor for the Get Out and Drive podcast. We've also got Joanne, who's our moderator. Tom C is in there. We've also got Will's Wheels, Hobbins Hot Rods, Turlo's Garage, Gary Mathis, and let's see, Country Boy Gas Garage, Jason Kellogg has joined us. We've also got Glenn Nickerson. And it looks like there's some more people squeezed in there. Greasy Boy Customs Dan, who was last week's guest on the CarrGuy and SixFan show. If you haven't seen that episode yet, make sure you go back and watch it. And Chris Roberts has jumped into the chat there saying, "What's good, Grant?"
Yeah, so Chris is a college classmate of mine. So he actually probably recognizes Leah as well from all the days that she visited me in studio. But enough about us. I guess it's time to start the questions, and this is going to be a pretty open forum because it's going to be some back and forth. It's not going to be just us asking questions to them. I'm sure they're going to be asking questions of us, but I think where we like to start with a lot of our guests is we always like to go back to the beginning, since we are a car channel, and talk about the first cars and the driving experience and what life was like when you were a 15-year-old saving up money for a car. So talk a little about your first car, or what you really wanted to buy and your dad didn't let you buy. Why don't you talk about your first car?
Yeah, I wanted a convertible, but Dad didn't like that. He was adamant about it was going to leak and he wasn't going to take care of it. So I had what year was it? A 1996 Chevy Cavalier. And, what?
Yeah, carry on.
No way.
It shouldn't. It's Jason and I wouldn't be surprised here, but we'll get into that later, I guess.
Oh, she was a great car. I called her Betsy. She always the AC would always go out. By the time we were married, the muffler went out, and I think you need to like do
a
it.
hole rusted through through the muffler. That was the first in our marriage. That would have been the first probably car fix I did for her car. But yeah, it was fun leaving toll plazas and it echoing off of the surroundings. Did I do good enough? Did I get that?
Yeah, that was good. I'm impressed. I'm proud you did an impersonation. He doesn't like doing that.
So it's funny you say that the Cavalier was your first car because you eventually got there with a Cavalier.
Yeah.
But that wasn't your first car. Tell us what your first car was.
My first car was a white hatchback 1988 Geo Metro 3-cylinder. It got amazing gas mileage, $10 to fill the gas tank. It was wonderful.
Gas was cheap back in the early 80s.
Hey.
Junior making a little bit of an appearance there, but Gary Mathis also jumping in there with $10 super chat. Thanks, Gary, saying have a drink on me, and I will drink to that.
Yes, thank you very much, Gary. Well, I got you written down. So what's after the Geo Metro, Sherry?
Oh, what was after the Geo Metro?
You had the Le Mans, the blue Le Mans.
Nope, that wasn't. Oh, I think it was the Beretta, the Chevy Beretta.
That was but that was your mom's car.
Um,
So you had the white car, and then you had the blue Le Mans because that's the car that you kind of got when I first met you.
Yes.
So back when Pontiac still called little Japanese ship boxes by their 70s names, like it was a Pontiac Le Mans,
Yeah.
but it was just a little hatchback, little
Well, it was no better than
POS,
the,
right? I don't know.
the little Geo Metro that I had. So it got me from point A to point B and across Route 9 more times than it should have. So it didn't owe me anything.
And shortly after we got together, her dad was a used car dealer at the time, and he had come in with a 88 Cavalier 2-door, but just a plain Jane. It was a 5-speed.
Yeah, but it was a Z24.
No, the red one.
No, I didn't. I had the Z24.
No, you
yes,
didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You had the red one first, and you traded the red one for the blue one.
No.
Yes, you did. Because you had the blue one when we married and come into Canada. Yes.
The woman's always right.
I was gonna say if the CarRguy and SixFan show hasn't challenged our marriages enough yet, tonight we are gonna put that on display.
So let me tell you this, okay?
Yeah.
I'm right, but I got to show her why. So you had the red Cavalier first, and you traded it for the blue one because you didn't bring the red one to Canada when you got married to me.
Okay. All right. So he might be right.
No.
Maybe.
Hey, this is supposed to be a roast on you.
I'm just saying.
Right?
I'm just saying.
Right?
She always says, "You always think you're right," and
well, you should have played it off that she was right for the show.
I didn't keep track of my vehicles the same way he keeps track of his.
You had far fewer to keep track of.
Yes, that's right. It was a light change in my underwear.
Well, thanks again, Real World Garage. You dropped in a super chat as well, so we're writing your name down here as well. So we started with first cars, the thinking of the hopes and dreams of driving at 16. Oh, Fox.
We're heading that direction, man. We're heading that direction.
Well, to maybe divert from that direction, I guess we were we had last week we had Greasy Boy Customs on, and he was asking, what are the wives' dream rides? And so, Sherry, why don't we start with you? What would be your dream car?
Believe it or not.
I don't think it's funny at all.
Believe it or not, my dream car is just what we just talked about. I would love to have that Z24 blue and silver Cavalier. It sounded awesome. It was a V6. It had muscle. It was
a manual.
It was
2.8 a manual
speed.
transmission.
It was. I loved it. It was awesome.
She had the hardest time trying to call it a Z24 when she came into Canada. I don't know. Like, it was just like she just couldn't do it.
We'll never agree on that one.
We'll never agree on that one.
No.
Leah,
It's still Z.
why don't you tell us what your dream ride is or was?
Man, this is probably not very impressive. I like my current car, the convertible Mustang, but I want a pearl color. It's all about the looks for me. And I will say I like the EcoBoost. It's nice and like sounds like a little airplane engine. Like, I'm not used to that kind of engine.
Yeah,
motor.
so
What is that?
The turbocharger, and that was probably that was, as far as us sharing any sort of love for cars, that moment was. I still remember when I had swapped out the air tube on the to smooth out the airflow and everything, and after I put it on, she goes, "It doesn't whistle as much. You took away the whistle sound."
Took away what I liked.
Yeah, that whistle.
But they don't make it in the pearl shimmery, like when the sun hits it, and that's what I'm trying to get him to do. It's just
it's nothing 12 or 14 grand won't fix. I mean, come on, Grant, knock it off.
Show that out.
Yeah. Rebuy the car and keep the same miles on it.
Who's roasting who now? So it's probably a good point to talk a little bit about dream ride. I'm not sure that we've ever talked about it, Grant, about what a dream ride would be for us, because I don't really think I have one. My dream ride is probably whatever current vehicle I'm driving of my fleet at any given time. But is there something that jumps out to you that you could say is kind of your dream ride?
I think I can make almost the average of everybody's response here. Where, so much like you, Jason, mine probably changes often because I'm a designer. So I'm often thinking of some idea and I'm like building it in my head, and I can't get this image out of my head for the longest time. And honestly, what's consuming my thoughts right now is what I learned to stick on was my father's 1984 Ford Ranger. It was brown, which shouldn't surprise anybody because that's what all the cars I buy are. But it was a 2.2 liter Perkins diesel. So much like the Geo Metro, it had a let's see, how does this go? It's 0 to 60 time was faster. No, it's quarter mile time was faster than its 0 to 60 time. That's what we always say. It was true. But I'd love to like reinvent that truck, drop like a 2.8 liter Cummins crate motor in it, lower it, make it the street truck that I always dreamed of when I was like in a high school thinking, and just have something fun to drive around. But I don't know. It's going to be a Ford product no matter what it is. I've had several ideas in the past. Like once upon a time, it was a airbag black 66 Torino wagon or the Country Squire, Fairlane, all those. I can't never get it straight. But anyway, I'm blabbing. So
I think we're supposed to ask questions. So Jason, what's your dream ride?
Well, again, like I said, I don't think I have one, but if I was probably going to nail something down, it probably wouldn't be too far from what Grant said. It's probably going to be like a wagon, something slammed to the ground, something old, probably a big motor in it, something that sounds loud and obnoxious. But at the end of the day, probably something that nobody else would ever want. So Buick Roadmaster, there we go.
Sweet. Sounds sweet.
We did have a question come in.
Hold on.
Okay,
he said brown. That is baby poop yellow. That's not brown.
Well, tan. In the family of there's brown undertones, flesh tones.
There's Band-Aid beige. There's hearing aid beige. Like we're trying to keep it in the family. We're trying to keep this PG. So keep the baby poop.
Oh, that's a little rated R.
So we did have a question come in from Fox Can Fix It. He's asking, which one of my cars would my wife get rid of first if she could?
Yugo. Gotta go.
Really?
Still not sold on the Yugo. I have still not sold on the Yugo.
You haven't driven it yet. That's why.
That and it barely stays running.
But it does.
It's like you should see where it's sitting. I'm in a field right now.
It's probably because Sherry acknowledges, like, just when you thought you couldn't get any worse than a Geo Metro, Jason went and found the one thing on this planet worse than the Geo Metro.
You know it. You know it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the whole idea of the Yugo was to be just that one different thing that nobody else has. No, you don't see them ever. The fact that we're going to engine swap it means it's going to be not only an odd looking car, but then people are going to shake their head when you pop the hood because it's going to be reliable at some point.
Well, if there's one thing I got to say about you, you always see the potential in these ugly looking cars.
I see the potential in everything.
Whoa! Is this what we say?
Yeah. Okay. Next topic, please.
Yeah, I probably should have dropped you from the live there for a second. Oh, fat fingered that one. Sorry, yeah. Well, so I guess Leah, if I mean, we only have 3 vehicles, so it would. I think I know what you're gonna pick if you had to make me get rid of one of our cars. But what do you want me to get rid of?
The piece of crap sitting in the garage. That's easy.
That Mustang.
But you know what? No, Jason. We have just met tonight. Stop it.
I am not the resident Ford guy of this conversation.
Actually, your Pontiac is better than the Fairmont. The Fairmont.
Now hold on, you married me for my Fox body, so
I don't know what any of this stuff is.
What's the Fox body?
It was
See?
A play on words. It was a play on words.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
hopefully those in the chat picked it up. But
Ooh,
the Fairmont was the Fox body, but I was talking
Okay.
about myself.
well, oh yeah, you're pretty foxy.
Well, you need one of those T-shirts.
Fox body? No, I do not. I've got a Yugo T-shirt.
Oh.
Okay, next topic of conversation. Nice, Jason. Thank you, Gary. I see that in the chat there. I'm going to scroll through the chat, see if there's any other questions. Grant, maybe you can pick up the slack with another topic of conversation.
Yeah, well, so I mean, it's interesting. I grew up as a Ford guy, and so Leah's family was fairly GM based for the most part. So I guess it doesn't surprise me she likes the Pontiac a little more than the Fairmont. So what exactly about the Pontiac do you what exactly about the Fairmont doesn't win that battle? Like what is it that makes this turd better than the last one?
I don't know. The Pontiac's a little more sporty. The Fairmont's a little more grandpa-y. And you put those wheels on it, and is this going to be rated R?
No.
He put these black rim.
They were oil rubbed bronze, but sure.
They're pimp wheels. That's what I call them. You got some pimp wheels. So don't do that to the Pontiac. I mean, a nice silver. What's wrong with silver?
Well,
is it because it gets dirty? I really don't understand.
So what you're saying is you're giving him permission to spend like $2,000 on a set of silver wheels. Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
because I mean,
is that what it is? Is that why you went with the pimp wheels?
That would be cool.
No.
Just saying.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, I was working out that deal with Rushforth wheels until I realized I was going to be dropping $3,000 on just wheels. And I was like, oh, hey,
yeah, oh, yeah, no.
Come back and see if I can pick this deal up later. So.
But you got to pick and choose what you spend the money on. So the wheels is kind of a big deal. I'm really not a car person, but I look at the wheels, and sure, if you have $2,000, go for some silver wheels.
Well, that kind of plays into the term form over function, right? They've got to look good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't really care if they don't drive that well. Like, the Yugo looks good.
It's got nice wheels
Got nice
on it.
wheels on. I mean, the wheels are probably worth more than the car. but,
Right?
like,
See?
they got to look good. And if it doesn't look good, I don't want to drive it.
You know, it did actually change the whole look of the car. I will say.
It did.
I was taken back by the wheels, but we got to get it so it runs on a consistent basis.
That's this winter's project. So,
Well, and I was just going to say, speaking of changing the whole look of a car with just a new set of wheels, the one behind you, Grandma, as I understand it, Sherry, that's kind of your baby now. You've adopted, that's your daily driver. So what was your impression of that transformation start to finish?
You know,
so be honest,
okay.
right from the day one.
Okay, I will.
Because
so, as most people know, we camp at a campground, and on our way to the campground, there's Grandma sitting on the side of the road, and first thing I say to him, don't even think about it. Don't think about it. We don't need another car. He's like, oh, but honey, we're gonna stop, take a look at it. So long story short, it's ours. So, he says, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff to it. Don't worry about it. We'll make it pretty. And I'm like, whatever. So what am I driving at the time? I don't even know what I'm driving.
You were just driving anything off of the lot at the time. Like, of course, with the used car lot, like she was just taking something, driving it for, 2 or 3 months, and we bring it back and we give her something else to drive. And when Grandma was sitting on the side of the road, it was sitting there with basically the same black wheels that you were talking about earlier, Leah, with winter tires on it.
Yeah.
So the car just kind of looked like
sad.
It was just, whatever. Yeah. So anyways, she was reluctant at first, and then, of course, you get into one of those cars and you got to realize just how comfortable they are. They're like sitting on a couch.
First thing that sold me on the car was the lumbar. That right there. After 8-hour shift at work and you sit in that car, you just melt into the seat. I love it. But he put the wheels on it and put new headlights in it and painted the grill and
tinted the windows
and did something with the rear end and
the stereo in it and
put a stereo in it. Just made it sound a little more throaty. I don't know. It's a fun car to drive now. I love it.
Nice. I like the tinted windows.
Tinted windows are kind of like they're a must, not for any other reason than I think it really does change the attitude of a car. When you get a car with just clear windows and you tint the windows, the car just, I think, instantly looks a little bit cooler. So it's like everything that we have, except for the Yugo, which will probably get done at some point.
Yeah.
But everything that we have, so Grandma, the Cordoba, my truck, they all have the tinted windows just because it just adds that extra little bit of coolness to the look of the vehicle, I think. And that's just,
And even our son, he does the same thing to his vehicles. And he's another one that goes through vehicles like underwear. And he spends all this money tinting windows and putting wheels on them. He's got the bug too. So
bad.
Nothing I can do about it.
Well, I'd be interested to hear from the chat if what the consensus is on to tint or not to tint. I've never been a big tinted windows person, but as you were saying that, I'm like, that's probably a pretty low investment for like when you're flipping a car. Like it does. It psychologically does make a huge difference in what a car looks like from what it was to what it will be. And maybe that's a good trick for the Grand Prix, but I don't know. So I'll be curious to see what the chat says there.
Well, it is a small little thing. Like you said, it's a small investment to taking a car. Like Grandma, when we first got it, literally we still had the Mercury wheels, and it was just a Grandma car. And the idea behind tinting it just kind of added, like I said, a little bit more of a coolness to take away from the old man car, right? Or the old Grandma car. So I think if you were to do that to the Pontiac, I think you'd find that it totally changes the appearance and the look of the car by not being able to see how bad the interior is or was or whatever. It just adds a little bit different level of coolness to it, I think.
Yep.
Well, you
definitely.
talked about Junior and his love for cars, and I know one of those cars that has been in the family for a while is now up for sale, or maybe it's already sold. But the Velociter, I know you drove that for a while, Sherry. So
Yeah.
what was life like driving the Velociter around?
Well, I got to tell you, I had a lot of new things happen around that time in my life. I had gotten a new job, which was great at the time. And then all of a sudden, my husband comes home with this beautiful sports car. And I almost felt like I didn't deserve it because I just thought that is too nice of a car for me. But I got in it and drove it, and I loved it instantly because it sort of took me back to my Z24 days a little bit. And then I thought, oh, gee, this will be a good midlife crisis car.
Z24.
So, anyways, I love the Veloster. I really liked it, but I knew, I'm in my mid 40s, and I just a car like that, just meh, a little more something a little more comfortable, easy on the hips.
It was a hard car to get in and out of.
Yeah, really low.
Yeah. So, and then Junior was graduating that year, so we kind of made a trade. He had a Dodge Avenger at the time, so we said, look, we're going to give you the Veloster for graduation, but you got to give us your car in exchange. So he did that. He was very happy with it, and that was 3 years ago. He still has it. So he's just thinking it's time for something a little newer and taking advantage of the high price on cars, taking advantage of that car market right now.
Yeah.
So this is probably where I get punched. So I don't know how much of this I should say out loud, but no. Our running joke here was, well, first off, the room we sit in used to be our offices, and we're like, well, we've been trying to have kids for some time now, and we kept making up these. Well, if we just make something super inconvenient, then surely we'll have a child. And that was what the Mustang was. It's like, let's buy something with the most impractical back seat that a car seat won't even fit into, and surely then we'll have to do that. But we've owned the Mustang for almost 3.5 years now. 4.
Yeah.
So what's life been like as a sports car owner? And that's been your daily driver for nearly 4 years now.
Well, I mean, like I said, I love it. I don't care what anybody says in the chat about not liking it. I do get what you're saying about having, like, it's a little low. So I'm like, I get to work and I have to like throw myself out of it with my bags, on Monday when I'm lugging the laptop back and forth from the weekend. But I'm kind of like the grandma of wanting to get really good gas mileage. So whenever he gets in it and he's like revving it up, or not revving it up, but like laying down the
rubber, yeah,
whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
Put the hammer down.
Then I
rubber.
Slamming beers and shifting gears. Wait, I shouldn't say that. Probably. It just rhymes. Sorry.
So you're trying to act cool.
Yeah, no, that's not cool. Kids don't drink and drive.
Just for the record, we're cool. We need to act cool. So, anyways, next question.
He painted the deck today. How cool is that?
Show the picture.
No.
Right?
No.
Come on, show the picture. This is a roast. It doesn't have to be about cars.
So before we go too much further, Mopar Den had a little statement in there, and he says, let's get down to brass tacks here. Have the wives complained about the guys buying more car parts that they see as frivolous or reckless spending?
I'm going to let you guys answer that one first.
We'd be here all night.
Yeah, you probably have a better answer. He does a pretty good job of keeping the money separate for the car project, and what little commission he gets on YouTube, $20. So he puts that into the car.
I made $20 tonight, or $19.98 before YouTube's 30%
you're
cut.
doing good. So, I mean, I never know what is showing up at the house. You know, there's deliveries for this and that, and it's just like, yep, another delivery for Grant, another delivery for Grant. But
Well, let's talk about your Yeti tumbler obsession. If we want to talk about packages that continue to show up and show up.
It's a good product.
It's a great product.
Yeah.
Frost Buddy is better, but hey.
So if Yeti wants to sponsor us, go right ahead.
So your turn.
Well, you know, I think I don't know. I just when you throw out a dumpster worth of stuff, when we moved from our last house to this house, and it was literally almost a dumpster that we took out of the old garage, just because I was like, we have got to get rid of some of this crap. And he, of course, wanted to keep it all, but he parted with, you know, the more junkier stuff. But yeah, no, he's got an issue with collecting parts that he thinks is going to be not valuable but useful down the road. So it takes up real estate. Well, this garage is much bigger, but the other one, not so big. You know, But
I don't think there's anybody who is a car guy or car person. I don't want to be gender specific, but I don't think there's anybody who is in this business of hobby of collecting cars or working on cars or whatever that doesn't have a small stash of stuff that you may need one day.
It's called hoarding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now hold on a second, because there's a closet door just right here.
What are you talking about?
That once you open it up is almost like, it looks like the snowdrift, right? It's like forming to the backside of the door and stuff. So we should probably not get too deep into that conversation.
This is not a roast on me.
So, honey, how much yarn do you have?
Why are we turning the tables? This is not right.
Well, I mean,
I can fit
show
all
the
my
picture.
yarn
we didn't promise anything.
into one closet, all of my yarn, and maybe a couple of trunks. Okay, that's it. That's really good for somebody who sews all the time.
Mm.
And
you have to have different colors of yarn.
You gotta.
It's really good, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. I could start taking up real estate out here with my yarn. How about that?
Mm-hmm. You could try.
Pile it on the Yugo, right?
Or in it.
In it. There you go.
So you know it's not going to move, so you'll know where it's at all.
Hey, now, don't be turning the tables here.
Well, fine. Somebody pile it on me then. I guess I'm due up, so.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we've missed some of the chat. Dan Greasy Boy Custom says it's called collecting.
Okay.
Oh, please.
I'll agree to that, but he's got a problem.
Finally a use for the Yugo. Thanks a lot, John.
Apparently Ryan's getting a kick out of this, so we've got another couple out there watching. So Ryan's going to be on our show, and is it next week already, or is it?
Yeah, I think so, isn't it, Ryan? You can just chat. I think it's September 1st. Yeah, that's next week. Yep. Yeah, so he's loving this. Yeah, he would love this. Knit some seat covers for the Yugo, honey.
Totally will.
Well,
love it.
You gotta correct him.
It's crochet.
Come on, Drew.
I don't knit.
It's crochet.
Are you gonna crochet in some of those like wood beads for the back? Like
I should.
You totally could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do that for grandma.
I should.
You
yes.
Totally should.
But I have a broken wing right now, so I can't. Broke my wrist.
Oh my soul.
Oh no.
So earlier in the chat, I did notice that King Eric, the greatest of all, which by the way, thank you, Eric, for being a part of the chat tonight, had asked where my wife was from because I said coming into Canada, and I probably didn't specify. So maybe you can tell everybody where you're from.
Well,
without maybe being so specific, but like
I'm from Maine. 2 minutes that way. Literally.
Yeah, so we live in a border community, and there's a lot of that international relationships that happen. Like, in fact, most of your family pretty well married somebody from the opposite side.
Yeah. My dad's
Your
Canadian.
dad's Canadian, and
my,
so
my
it's
mom's American.
it happens quite frequently that there's
Puddle jumpers.
puddle jumpers, they call them around here. So it's cross the river over to Maine, and they make their way this way. And I mean,
I've been in Canada longer than I was
at this point because we married in 99.
99.
Yeah, so and you're 40 something now, so over. Yeah, so it's been a while. Any other questions? What part of Maine? So down east Maine, Glenn. So we're kind of in the Washington County. Damn Yankees. That's right. We keep.
But they still say Z instead of Z.
We say it.
I mean,
they still say it wrong. So no matter how you look at it, I'm just saying. Yeah.
3-1. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah. Oh, how
Come
does
on.
it feel to be outnumbered?
Where's all my Canadians at?
Well, so let's keep the conversation there for a second. So, how did you guys meet then? Is it how do those social circles work? I guess. So how do you run into someone across the border and end up?
I first met Jason through a youth group through a local church here, and we were too young really to date then, but because he sort of hung out with the same circle that I did through church, we sort of kept a friendship going there. And I can remember many times Jason would see me driving through town. He knew what I drove, and he would follow me back to my house.
Stalker.
And my boyfriend would be inside the house waiting for me to get home, and there's Jason following me back to my house.
I just follow her home, just say hi, what's happening, you want to hang out sometime or whatever. She'd be like,
my boyfriend's inside.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, tail between my legs. I'll just be seeing you later.
So Jason and I, for those of you who've been following us for a long time, you've maybe picked up on some of this, but he and I, we just, as we've gotten to know each other better, more and more, like we just realize how we have so many things in common, and like down to our wives having Cavaliers. So that's where we were. That's where we were chuckling earlier. It's like it shouldn't surprise us because there's. So our first date, or maybe a second date, we're driving in my truck, and someone gets a phone call from some frat guy.
Hey.
And I'm like, oh, this is a single cab truck. Like this is really this is not awkward at all. It's just. I thought this date was going well, but she did turn the guy down. I did get to hear her softly let some other frat. It's my show, D-bag. Down. Sorry, I couldn't. It just my mind. It was a log jam. I wasn't going to go on with any more words unless I said D-bag. So it's just.
Yeah. So Grant, just since we're on the subject, tell us a little bit of how that conversation went.
My conversation or her conversation?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hi. Yeah, he's right here. No, don't call him that. It's just a Ford. No,
as I understand, he was a nice guy, and Leah wasn't that excited about going to this party anyway. So
yeah,
she was
it was
happy
more
to have an
friends
excuse.
level. Needed somebody to go to a party with. Okay, we met cleaning toilets. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
And he'd be pushing the garbage trash cart, and I'd be watching his little tush. So that's how we met. Cleaning bathrooms together.
I said she liked me because of my fox body. So
I guess you're right.
Was it the bushy red tail? Or...
Well, to be honest, I always thought he was wicked cute. Always.
Wicked.
Sound wicked.
Go on.
Jason, you could probably sell that T-shirt now in your store. Wicked cute, and then it's
wicked
like
cute.
a silhouette of you
with an arrow pointing up, right? Like
wicked cute. It's actually pretty good.
We should do that. Joanne, if it's still in the chat, just could you mark that down for me? We'll make sure we get that one on the go.
My nose is running.
Yeah, better catch it.
And just so our viewers know, backstage before we went live, Jason, because he's a thoughtful guy, was like, "Here are some Kleenexes in case your nose runs." That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what the Kleenexes were.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe it was, "Here's some Kleenexes in case we make you cry."
I know. It's like, what are we in for?
Oh shoot.
How about this, Jason? How about we go back to when we have other guests on, we always ask we ask them to go back to the beginning of their YouTube channels. So maybe a good question here would be, and Leah, we'll start with you. What were your initial thoughts when you learned I was starting a YouTube channel? What was, when you think back to when I started, what were you thinking about me?
This is going to be awkward.
Oh,
And he still is. That makes it Grant, you know? I don't
Awkward.
know. I don't know what I thought. I mean, how many years ago did you start?
15, 20, 50, yeah, 6 or 7 years ago. Math.
Yeah. I mean, so the YouTube world has really taken off, I'd say, a lot more lately. Like, you ask little kids what they want to be. They want to be influencers and all this stuff. So I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know what I thought about it. Sorry.
What
Boring
was your
answer.
thoughts about me starting a YouTube channel?
Well, I can remember where we were standing out in the driveway at the other house, and you're like, "Well, I'm thinking about doing YouTube," and and I'm like, "Okay, well, that's good. I mean, it'll be a hobby, something to keep you busy."
Keep you out of my hair.
But is it
While
gonna-
you were crocheting, probably you're like, okay, cool.
I think I just got done mowing the lawn or something. I don't know. Anyways, I just sort of was worried about the money aspect of it. Was it going to cost a lot of money? Was it going to, like, how deep? And then I thought, well, people on the internet can be sort of mean. So you kind of have to have a spine for it.
And I'm a sensitive little soul.
Oh,
Fragile piece of china.
So I don't know. I guess it was a double-edged sword, but I supported it. I thought okay, well, we've been through a lot of weird stuff in our marriage. What's another one?
And now that it's bringing me in, like, what, $20-$30 a month,
Yeah,
like, we're doing okay.
we're coining her.
We're doing okay.
yeah.
We got the bling going.
Oops.
We must have, at the same time.
Same time. So the question is, any YouTube advice from the wives? Can you give any YouTube advice to myself and Grant?
It's looking like this is going to be more like a marathon for the two of you. So
I love your honesty.
Kind of like a break, John. Right?
Hey.
It only takes one video.
last
Isn't that what they
go.
always say? It only takes one video.
You're gonna be rich. I know it.
Like an addict, right? Or maybe another way to rephrase the question, unless Leah, you had some advice for me. So you can either take that route or think about, like, the YouTube channels you like to consume, and what are some of the things about those channels that you're drawn to, that maybe something about that is something that we're missing from ours.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, like, I don't know, it's been 44 minutes into this. Are people still watching? I would say, like, shorter, a short video, I think, would be, keeps people's attention longer than a 40-minute thing. I like to watch travel videos, so I like to see the places. I don't like to necessarily see the person talking. I like to see the places and then talking in the voiceover or whatever. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough call because there's some YouTubers out there who are very consistently doing 45-minute, an hour, hour and a half long videos, and if they're not entertaining, it's hard to sit through. But if they're entertaining, it's a little bit of a different story. So everyone is different to what they like to watch. Sometimes I like to sit and watch if I've got an hour. Sometimes I will watch one of those hour-long videos. But if I've only got 10 minutes, well, I'm looking for a 10-minute video. I'm not looking for something that necessarily catches my eye. I'm checking the time. You know, so sometimes those shorter ones, in most cases, those shorter ones are the ones that I like to, you know, click on as well, because I just don't have all that time to sit there and watch an hour-long video 2 or 3 times a day. It's just, I just don't. But.
Exactly. And like, I'm a big podcast listener, so I can do that and do other things. But the point of YouTube is watching the video. So you want to be able to have the time to sit and watch the screen.
Speaking of podcasts, guys, this show is
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. That's right. So this show is powered by the Get Out and Drive podcast. And on October 2nd, make sure that you are signed up for National Get Out and Drive Day. You can go to the website at getoutanddrive.com because it's supporting a great effort to try and get youth into the automotive industry, whether it's mechanics, bodywork, whatever it happens to be. We want to see young people getting into that industry, because if we don't teach it, we're going to lose it. Make sure you listen to the Get Out and Drive podcast, myself and John, Custom Car Nerd Meyer. You can get the Get Out and Drive podcast. It's available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Can I just add something to that?
Sure.
Look, I'm not a car person. I support him as much as I can. So one of these, I don't know, past weeks, whatever, I got listening to the podcast. I was like, holy crap, this is really interesting. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm being honest, like, go check it out. You might learn something. I did.
I need to learn something, so I'm going to go check it out.
By the way, we'll be doing this on the podcast too at some point.
Oh, great.
So, just throwing it out there.
So, and that's where I started. Before I did YouTube, I was doing podcasting. That's why I've got this gear. That's what I did. And I know, just growing up, and I guess the advice I'd give people out there who might be watching, thinking about jumping into the YouTube game, like 2000s, 2010s video technology and the crappy microphones that were on video cameras at that time. Like, I always remember being self-conscious about my voice, and I'm like, man, I sound stupid. Like, when you watch something back, good microphones make a big difference, and it definitely builds confidence. And I'll say, like, had I not been podcasting for years, nobody's seeing me on video, right? Like, you just have to nail one thing, just the voice, the conversation, that's a good podcasting's a good entry into this hobby, I think, and they're probably even more popular now than they were a decade ago when I started. But
oh yeah,
especially if you got a face like this, like podcasting is perfect. Like, yeah. So I think that, you know, same thing with cameras. Like, it used to be when I started YouTubing, I was going out trying to find a good little camera, a GoPro or this or that, and all the accessories. And now, like, my iPhone takes twice as good of video quality as the GoPro does.
What you started out
The
with.
sound quality is much better. I've got zooming features. It's just so much better and more convenient because it's always in my back pocket. I don't need to run around making sure I got a camera everywhere I go to make sure I catch something that might be funny or interesting or educating, whatever. Phones are great, but we did make one mistake, Grant. I did jump over to the Google Drive, the Google Doc that we share, and John Meyer is next week on the 1st, and then Everything Is Broken Garage will be on the 8th. So I wanted to clear that up for those who may or may not be keeping track. So we're gonna have John from the Get Out and Drive podcast. So we're gonna have some great intelligent conversation happening next week on the Get Out and Drive.
What are you saying?
On the what are we? CarrGuy SixFan show.
There we go. Yeah, what do we call this thing again?
Oh yeah, we're way off topic. I don't know.
It's the marathon.
It's the marathon. So yeah, perfect. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
It is a marathon, and that is what it's all about. So I have a question for Leah.
Oh.
And I want to know, like, so not being a car person and being married to a car person, what's the one thing you wish you could change about him as far as his car hobby or his car fascination or whatever it happens to be?
Probably that he comes in from the garage and smells like flowers instead of heavy metals.
What?
Okay, so I have a little thing like, okay, now I realize my comment was stupid, but he's welding and I sit in the house and I'm like, if I don't hear anything going on out there, I'm like, is he okay? And then I start hearing things again and I'm like, okay, he's fine. He's fine. I worried about him. Like he's going to weld a hole in his leg or something. And he's like, well, yeah, you can't weld a hole in your leg. So anyways, he smells like heavy metals. It's dirty. It's disgusting. So when we build a new house, I think we need to have like a man shower
A little
next to
room
the
for the
man
men.
cave. Yeah.
Detox zone.
Detox zone. Yes.
Well, everyone's got to have something.
I wish you would be a little more organized. That's
What do you mean? I know where everything is.
yeah, you know where everything is. Oh, I wish I could turn that camera around and show you guys.
Do it.
Look, I've got shelves full of stuff, and I got stuff on the floor, and I got like everything is like organized. I know
Yeah.
exactly where it is.
Yeah, no, not impressed.
It might not be practical, but
So, Jason, if she picks up something of yours and puts it away in a different spot, does
yes.
it take time to find it?
Well,
you know where everything is?
the problem is, well, so just back up for a second. So my toolbox, I've organized my toolbox when we moved here so that everything is in a drawer. And I even labeled the drawers so that like if you go and you want to get a socket or a hammer, I know exactly where it is. She should know exactly where it is, and she should know where it should go back.
Right.
But in previous times, if I was working on a project and I had a hammer laying on a cart, she'd go looking for a hammer. Oh, she grabbed that one, and I'd never see it again. So yeah, organization plays a big part in that, but I'm trying.
You should see his desk at work. Huh.
You probably shouldn't.
I don't know how he functions. I really don't. But
my desk consists of piles.
Yeah.
And
Piling system.
each pile has a certain urgency.
Jason, are you allowed in the kitchen?
No.
See, that's the problem. Like, he probably puts everything away where things go in the garage, but we've lived in this house for 10 years and everything has its spot. I don't label the drawers, but he doesn't put things away in the right spot. And maybe that's my OCD, but I can't find things whenever.
Oh, my soul.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Well, but the thing is, and I'm sure that you guys can attest that the garage is his space. Is that fair or no?
Yes.
So
Yeah, she once described it as it's my house. It's your garage, but it's my house.
No, you said that.
But all joking aside, that's probably the truth. It's probably closer to the truth.
I had to leave my she shed at the other house because it was a condition of the sale. And I was sad. I liked my she shed. And now I don't have one. So he needs to make the YouTube money so I can have another one.
Jason. Build her a she shed.
Yeah, she's going to have a she shed. It just may not be inside here. So we'll make sure she's got one. Keep her happy.
Well, we are getting to that point where we usually try to wind down. So again, we'll open it up to the chat. If you guys have specific questions you've been thinking about, maybe we missed one in the chat earlier, go ahead and throw that in. We'll try to get it answered through the lens of our wives here. But Jason, this is also where we usually kind of talk about some upcoming content on the channels. And I was just kind of thinking, we mentioned crocheting some seat covers for the Yugo and the and Grandma. Maybe there's an opportunity for some sort of a collab video on down the road as well. But what do you think? What's coming up on Old Car Guy?
Well, I just put a video out yesterday. It was the top 5 things to look for when you're buying a square body. And the prices on trucks and everything is going up so high in collectible cars that what once was just a $500 vehicle once upon a time are now thousands of dollars. So I did a video specifically on the truck, and that one is performing quite well right now. So I think the idea is I may do another one on other vehicles, maybe not necessarily anything I own. But I think if we can do some videos on, pricing of collector cars these days, we'll do that. I didn't catch that. What was popping up there?
Fox was wondering if Mrs. Old Car Guy could crochet some fake Old Car Guy beards to sell in your store.
Totally make that happen.
Sure. Viking beards.
Yeah.
Do you have enough gray, though, for the fade?
Do you have enough gray?
Yeah, no.
Gray yarn?
No.
So she has to buy more yarn, Jason. You're welcome.
Oh,
Thanks a
darn.
lot. Thanks a lot. Grant, what's coming up on Straight Six Fan?
Well, I think the crowd, as you know, I work at a snail's pace at Straight SixFan, so more interior rehab videos. I did work on it this past week, and I just decided not to film anything because it was really going to be more of the same of what you saw previously. But we'll be wrapping up that package tray on the Grand Prix is kind of what's due up next.
Well, that's pretty good. I think we managed to make it through a whole episode. Nobody has black eyes. And as Gary Boyd said, we've got all of our fingers and all of our toes and everything like that. And I don't think anybody's feelings got hurt. Did you? No,
of course
Leah,
not.
you everything okay?
Oh, I'm good.
That's awesome.
Good.
And it didn't even take that much alcohol.
Well, this is how I know I'm getting older because I've got some notifications popping up on my screen that I can't figure out how to close. So I'm just on the old technology struggle bus here.
Oh my gosh.
There we go. We did have a question from Ryan, so that's what I was trying to pop up. So do you guys want to take this one first, or do you want me to?
It's, believe it or not, it's not very.
Ours isn't.
It's not very. It doesn't. It did not involve a car. I think it happened in your mom's kitchen.
Yeah, it did.
Like, it wasn't very big and anything. It was just I knew it was time, and I asked her, and she said yes, and that was it. Like, it wasn't very fancy.
We're not fancy people.
What is that supposed to mean?
We didn't have a wedding. We eloped, and we don't like all that fuss and
attention. Yeah, like it's just it's not us to do that. No.
Don't like the car loaded down with options. You like the Yugo is what I'm hearing.
It's gotta have air.
Just as long as it's got air. That's all.
Oh shoot! What about you guys?
Do you want to take this?
No, you should tell.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, okay. So it involved 2 cars. So I had at the time I was interning in Nashville, and it was originally going to happen in Nashville, but I got my apartment broke into, so I moved back home a month earlier than I was going to. But my plans in Nashville were going to involve a limousine and multiple things. So I was like, well, dang it, I can still in Wichita, Kansas, make the limo thing work. So that was car number 1. I had actually in my truck, I used to carry like a toolbox in the back, like a little, what is that, 2-foot long Craftsman 2-drawer, that yay high. I emptied all the tools out of it and filled it with ice so I could hide a champagne bottle in it. So I think Leah knew what that day was going to turn into because I also bought her a dress and set up a hair appointment for her.
Yeah, you guys were like, we're simple, and he's like, go get your hair done.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Well, yeah, we took a ride,
and then
We
of
were
course,
eating at
now hold on a second. Like got a limo ride, but of course the cheap ass that I am, it had to be on a weeknight, right? So it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then it was like whatever the minimum time limit was, right? Like it was like this. Basically, it was a glorified. They'd take you to dinner. They'd give you an X amount of time to be at dinner and drive you back.
Find your way back.
You're right.
But and because I grew up out in the country outside of the city limits, like I had to they weren't going to go so far out of the city limits either. So I had to find like a via point we drove to a local church, and I had it timed out right where I got her in to tour like this local church and try to explain to her like how, like what weddings were like for that took place at this church. And then we started on one end, and by the time we walked out the back, the limo had basically just rolled up, and so she didn't even know that was part of it. But yeah, that's
ended with fireworks out in the back pasture. And he's kneeling down in mud to propose to me. So sweet.
On
That's so sweet.
In the back of the truck.
You sucker.
So. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Like, look at her. Like, I had to try pretty hard to make sure that I landed this one. So
We gotta make sure that frat boy wasn't coming back for a second visit.
That's right.
He couldn't find them. They were roaming around the church somewhere.
So much competition.
Seems like it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see any more. Andy was asking what's the hold up on more videos. Time. So
Life.
yeah. Yeah.
But he also did end with, "You guys are wonderful people." I'm sure he's referring to our wives, but we'll take that as a compliment as well.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's it. Jason, I guess do you want to close this out? Remind everybody how this operation works and where they want to go next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So the CarrGuy Mrs SixFan show is a joint effort between myself and Grant. So next week, the show will be hosted on my channel. And as I said earlier, we do have John from the Get Out and Drive podcast who will be interviewing. I'm not sure it's going to be much of an interview, more of a just three guys sitting around chatting, talking cars. I think that's kind of what the whole gist of the thing is. So happens at the same time at 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat and supported this little venture with our wives. It was something different. We had a lot of fun, and
It was my idea.
it really was. It really was her idea. So you can blame her, Leah. Anyways, I appreciate everyone for taking some time out of their Thursday evening for joining us. Thank you to my wife and to Leah for being a part of the show and making this as least embarrassing as possible. We had a lot of fun. So next week, my channel. We'll see you guys there. Stay focused on the windshield, not the rear view mirror. See you next week.